Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Dreamcatcher podcast, a place where your dreams can find a voice. Too many of us are living our life on autopilot, sleepwalking through it with no purpose or direction. But what if it didn't have to be that way? What if we could take control of our lives and live out our days more consciously? According to my guest, Noor Hibbert, we all have the power to live every single day with intention and design a life that we absolutely love. When we tap into this power, we'll see that life is for the making and the taking. Noor Hibbert is a life and business coach, entrepreneur, and motivational speaker. She's the founder of This Is Your Dream, where she helps people transform their mindset, master manifestation, build their business, and live their best life. She has built a 7-figure business while raising 3 small children, and she credits it to her embarking on a spiritual journey. During our conversation, Noor will offer advice on how to retrain our brain to overcome negative beliefs and align our thoughts with the life that we want to create. We'll also talk about the role of manifestation in creating success and manifestation tools that we can use. And if you like what you heard, please don't forget to like, rate, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Thanks. Hi, Noor. How are you doing today?
I'm brilliant. Thank you so much, Selena.
Well, it is so lovely to connect with you today to talk about your brand new book, You Live Only Once. And I just have to say that this book is so well written. And I love how in-depth you go into different aspects of the mind and the spirit and make it also relatable with your own stories. So great job with that.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so Noor, it seems like your journey inspired a lot of the themes that you cover in the book. So why don't we start with you telling us about your story and how it influenced you and your career?
Amazing, of course. So, gosh, how would you share 36 years of story in a short amount of time? But I'm going to give it my absolute best shot. So I do apologise. I do sometimes swear. So it just happens, as anyone that reads my books knows, I do like to swear. So
Yes.
if I do swear, apologies in advance.
That's all right.
So my story started, I, like every other child, had big dreams of what I wanted to do with my life. And for me, I wanted to go into some level of performance. I wanted to perform. That was what I knew I wanted to do. And as I went through school and academia, it soon became very clear that my dreams were going to be quashed, that I had to try and subscribe to a way of life that everyone else was living, which was go get a comfortable job, go get a secure salary, go get something that's sensible. I actually went to audition for theatre school when I was 16, and my parents said, you need a backup plan. So it's kind of always this theme throughout my life growing up, which was your dreams are probably not going to work. So maybe go for something different. And as a child, I always felt like an outsider. I always felt like I never really quite fit in anywhere. And I find that actually a lot of people who end up being coaches and healers and light workers and, work in this kind of world tend to have always felt sort of the similar feeling of, you felt that you were outside looking in. Yeah, you can, yeah. You're kind of outside looking in. And for me, as a young child, I remember thinking these really big esoteric questions like, what is the point of human life? Like, why are we here? When does the world end? All of these questions, and no one could give me answers. And so it was always something that fascinated me, but because I was on a perpetual quest to fit in and be normal and be average and be liked, I never really entertained any of those questions. I just wanted to do what everyone else did and carry on through life. And when I was about 16 years old, I got diagnosed with depression. I was really, really unhappy. By the time I was 19, I was suffering with anxiety. And I really genuinely felt like life had given me the short straw, that somehow I was born unlucky, that I was cursed, that things were never going to work for me. And this was just the way that life was going to be. And it wasn't until I became a mother that everything started to shift for me, and I started to have a deeper desire to really change what was going on internally, because I had gone to doctors, I had gone to therapists, I'd gone to counselors, and I couldn't find a way out from feeling the way that I did, that I was lost in life, that I felt anxious. I didn't know what my purpose was. I didn't know what I was meant to be doing. And, I was a smart person. I'd got a good education. I'd done everything that I was, in inverted commas, supposed to do.
Yeah.
And yet here
you did everything that was you were supposed to do on paper, basically.
Yeah, exactly. I followed the book. I went to school. I got good grades. I went to university. Yeah. I got through university. I spent most of the time drinking and having fun. But the point being is that I thought I'd have my shit together. I thought I'd know what I was meant to do next. And when I became a mother, I was actually at that point then had no job, no clue what I was doing. But just a fire in my belly, like a desire, like knowingness, like I want to create something. I want to be free. I want to be with my children. And that really set me off on this path of reconnection, a path of understanding what spirituality was. And can I caveat by saying, even the word meditation made me cringe at this point.
That a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah. It's like you kind of imagine spiritual people being like wearing bamboo trousers and having hairy armpits and dancing, by the moonlight. But for me, when I was in 2015, which was 7 years ago, I found a mentor who explained this connection with the universe in a way that really, really resonated with me, and it landed with me. And that was the beginning of the rest of my life. And starting to understand what really was my purpose, and understanding that you truly do only live once. That's the title of my book, You Only Live Once. And how can we find our unique purpose? Because from that day onwards, I went from someone who suffered from anxiety, didn't know what she wanted to do with her life, completely lost, to following a path, a guided path, should I say, to creating my own business, to generating now, multi-millions in my business, and to being able to serve and impact people on a really large scale, manifesting book deals, work with celebrity clients, doing things that once upon a time were merely a thought and a wish and a dream in my head. And so that's kind of the very condensed version of my story.
Yeah,
but
you did a great job. You did a great job with.
Oh, thank you. In my book,
summarizing that. And a brilliant story. And I'm curious to know about that hunger that you felt, that burning desire as you described it. What was that? Because according to you, like a lot of people, either they don't have that or they don't really pay attention to it. And you actually described them as humanoids.
Yeah.
So tell us about that. What was that hunger, and why is it that a lot of people either ignore it or they just don't have it?
Okay, amazing. Well, from childhood, we become conditioned, we become programmed to be the human that we have witnessed. Mm-hmm. So the experiences that we have seen, heard, and experienced as, the events and scenarios that we've seen, heard, and experienced as children create a software programming for how we then run through our adult life. And all of the stories we tell ourselves, and all the meanings and the beliefs that we have around success, around money, around relationships, around wealth, health, all of that stuff have all been formulated in those years between sort of the ages of 0 and 8 years old. Mm-hmm. And through that conditioning, I believe almost a switch gets pressed in us humans, and it turns us off. Mm-hmm. It turns us off from truly listening to what we want out of our life, to truly believing that it's possible, to being conditioned to believe that the way of life is what everyone else is doing, and what I call, humanoid behavior: eat, sleep, shit, repeat, save for a pension, maybe go on a cruise and die. Yeah. And, and unfortunately, the majority of humans are humanoids. And I'm not saying that they don't have feelings or they, act like robots, but they are running off programming that is keeping them small, that is stopping them from going for their dreams, that is keeping them in a space of lack, limitation, and fear. And until we flip that switch the other way and wake people up and they go, oh my God, reboot. And that's that connection back to spirit, that connection, what I call spirituality, is that connection back to who you truly are, your soul self. People get stuck being these humanoids, and so therefore they don't listen to their desires anymore. They can't touch base with their desires. They don't even have a vision for life because they never sit down to think about what their vision for life is. And it's not their fault. It's just not what we're taught at school. It's not what we're taught as teenagers. We're just not taught it.
And it's easier to go with the flow, because it takes extra effort to actually do your own thing and to kind of break away from tradition or whatever the path that has already been established, by your peers.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, completely. It really is. It's like invisible handcuffs, and you feel like you can't take them off. But the reality is we can, but it's definitely not a process that can be done overnight. And it's not a process that, you can click your fingers and make a decision. Yeah, it starts with a decision to change your life. It starts with a decision. But unfortunately, because we are programmed to behave in a certain way, we have to undo that programming, unlearn those behaviors, those habits, those attitudes, and recreate our identity, recreate our personality, which then reflects our personal reality and the movie of our life.
Right. And how do people begin to do that? I know you offered a lot of tools in the book, but if you could pick one or two that you can start with, what would they be?
Absolutely. I think my number one would be something like hypnosis, because the beauty of hypnosis is that it enables you to reprogram your mind without willpower. You can literally lie down and allow hypnotherapist or allow hypnosis to communicate with your subconscious mind in order to be able to create those new pathways, those new neural pathways in your brain. And this is where this whole new genre of neuroplasticity, which over the last 100 years has really emerged. And basically, historically, people believed our mindset was set, that we couldn't change.
And that's so depressing, right? Can you imagine just thinking that
I know,
you can't have it any other way? Yeah.
But now we've come to realize and learn that actually that's not true, that our brain is made up of trillions of connections and neural highways. And actually, through repetition and new learning, we can start to create those new pathways. So yeah, it's really exciting actually to know that the person that you were last year does not need to be the person that you are next year at all. And that your past self will not be the version of you that will get you to your future. You have to start carving out that new identity.
Right. And what about taking action? Do you think that, how do people take the first steps? If they feel stuck, what can they do to begin building that momentum?
Okay, so the steps that I really teach is the manifesting method, which is for me 5 steps that really take people on a journey. And it always starts with, what is the vision? Where is the compass? Where are you going? Taking time to sit down and ask yourself, what do I truly want? Or in fact, what do I not want anymore if you don't know what you do want? And then using that as a guide to then be able to flip to the opposite and give an indicator of what you do want. For example, I don't want to work 9 to 5. What would be the opposite of that for you? And so if you don't know what the vision is, start with what you don't like, flip it over and use that as the kind of guiding posts. The next step is really recognizing and understanding what is the but below that. Okay, so I want to go and create this freedom life, but that's not possible for me, but that can't be done, but I'm not clever enough, yada, yada, yada. Start to pull out what are those beliefs that have been governing the programming that is guiding who you are and how you're acting as an adult, and therefore creating the outcomes in your life in the physical world. Step 3 is then using tools like hypnosis, meditations, affirmations,
to deal with the subconscious mind, right?
Exactly, to deal with the subconscious mind, to reprogram and create that new identity that's in alignment with your future self. Because the reason people struggle with manifesting their dream life is because their conscious desires and their subconscious belief systems are in conflict. So we need to get them back in alignment.
You call it the paradox of manifestation, right? Because that was going to be my next question. Like, what is the paradox of manifestation, and why does it prevent us from, getting what we want?
Well, actually, one of the paradoxes I actually refer to is holding a vision but then letting go. So how do you hold on to the vision of your life but then detach from the outcome? And that's the biggest paradox is, what do you mean I've got to keep a vision, but actually I need to let go? And actually that comes from unwavering faith. So step 4 of the manifesting method is actually tuning into Universe FM, which is essentially vibrationally aligning with the future version of yourself. And that involves a hell of a lot of faith. Because when we have faith, we are operating from a belief that we know that we're supported, that we're going to get to where we want to get to. And that in itself increases our vibration. And of course, the law of attraction states that like attracts like. We've got to be in vibrational match with that which we want to call in. And then step 5 is taking the physical action in the world. See, a lot of people will go straight to step 5 and start changing their physical reality, thinking that it's going to actually make the difference internally to them. But it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work.
We can't. Right. It's like if you go to a computer and type out a Word document and print it out, and you've got that document in front of you, and you try to change the typing, you can't do that. Once it's printed out, it's typed out. That's like trying to change your external circumstances only from the external world. We've got to change our external circumstances from the internal world first. We've got to go to the software, change the typing on the Word document, then print it out. But taking action in the physical world is one of the pieces that so many people get wrong, because books like The Secret say, think positive thoughts and, magic will happen and things will appear.
I never liked that book. I'm so glad you mentioned it.
I think the book deserves credit where credit is due.
Right. People became more aware. Yeah, it brought a lot more awareness to the law.
It brought it to the mainstream. It made people aware. It helps people be more positive, but it misses fundamental pieces, which is why I go into depth in my books, Just Fucking Do It and You Only Live Once, of all those pieces and why they really matter. And taking action in the physical world is something you should do, but only after you've done the first 4 steps. Why? Because then you will be guided to take the right action, the inspired action, the guided action, rather than just going do in the physical world and not get the results that you want.
You're so right. And getting back to the whole process of letting go of a desire once we envision it, once we know that it's something that we want to pursue. What advice do you have for people who are really attached to the outcome and, they have their heart involved in it and they really, really want to see it happen. They really want to manifest it in reality. How can they detach?
So this is so interesting. I think it's really important that you do have a burning desire, and being focused on a vision is different from being attached. And what that means is that when you make the outcome mean something about you, and when you try to force the outcome to happen, and you go into a state of, where is it? Why is it not happening? You have dropped out of Universe FM. You have dropped out of alignment. You have dropped out of flow. And essentially what you've done is thrown a big massive turd or shit in the pathway of getting to where you want to go. You've thrown obstacles there, because flow comes from faith, and when you question the outcome happening, it means that you're doubting the faith. And the analogy that I like to use is, when you go into a restaurant and you order a meal, you don't order a meal and then this whole time sit there thinking, oh my gosh, is my meal going to come? I've ordered the burger and chips. Will it come? Will the waiter bring it? Oh my gosh. And sit there worrying the whole time until your meal arrives. You sit there, you have a glass of wine, you chat to your friends, whoever you're with, you're enjoying it, you're waiting for your food. With full expectation and faith, you've done it.
You gotta have that.
It's going to come.
You got to have that level of faith, because, you know, in the real world, like supposing you applied for a job, or and you're waiting to hear back from the employer, or went on a first date and you're waiting for him to text you, you know, during times like that, that's when that's when it's hard.
It becomes really hard. And actually in those moments, the best way is distraction. You know, and Abraham Hicks talks about this a lot, is shift your focus off that. Go and focus on something else. You know, there's lots of different things that we can do to shift our attention. And when our attention is on what has not happened, we're stopping it from coming. So divert your attention. Go to do something like a gratitude rampage. Sit down and write down all the things you're grateful for. Go for a walk, meditate, but whatever you do, switch off those ego thoughts.
Have a life.
Go off and enjoy yourself, and stop focusing on the outcome, and have fun in the process of manifesting what you want. That's great advice.
And what if the techniques you really recommend in the book is daydreaming and using your imagination? You say that it's a very powerful way to create success and become the most aligned and joyful version of ourselves. So tell us more about that. How can we use daydreaming and our imagination in creating the future we want?
Well, our imagination is a faculty that only our species have, and it really truly is a powerful piece of machinery in our own minds, and it's underused. Most of us use our imagination to worry about the future instead of create our future.
So true.
Yeah. And so if we can use our imagination in a more positive way for creation, and we can utilize, you know, that amazing tool to sit down and visualize and daydream and go into that future, we start to train our brain and our subconscious to go and actually make that happen. We set the cogs off, of the universal cogs that go off to create that. So, you know, I always say, spend a few minutes a day, put some music on, and just allow yourself to bask in the deliciousness of the future. Allow yourself to daydream. Allow yourself to see who you want to be, what you want to achieve, because that starts to create the reality of the physical world.
Okay. And is it something that's worked for you in your own life?
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Yes.
And it's so funny because I think I accidentally, when I shared this in my book, sort of growing up, you know, I never really thought that highly of myself, right? And so whenever I came across a guy that I thought, oh God, he's quite cute, I would literally, because I never thought I'd ever have a chance, but I'd honestly spend so many hours just daydreaming about this person, and it was always so strange. I'd always end up somehow, you know, having a cheeky kiss with the person, or meeting him, or going on a date. And sometimes it never worked out well. By the way, the daydreams are often way better than the reality. But I realized that because I spent so much time daydreaming and really just imagining all of these scenarios that would happen, I was actually inadvertently attracting this person to me. And by the way, can I just caveat this by saying that this only works if the other person has a level of interest in you, which obviously I thought so low to myself. You know, if I sat there and daydream about David Beckham, like, it's not going to fucking happen, okay? If I daydream about whatever, it's not going to happen, because they never met me. They don't know I exist, okay? It might happen for the odd person on this planet. I think I read once that Katie Holmes, before she, you know, when she was married to Tom Cruise,
she drove Tom Cruise,
yeah. So listen, but the way that her life worked was that she ended up in situations where she met him. Most of us, we're not going to meet celebrities, you know, LA celebrities who are living in the UK.
Or if you can, like, do something to increase your odds. Like,
if you really want to, if that's what you really want, but
join the film industry, like, be in their vicinity, because I know some celebrities end up with, like, the cameraman, or Julia Roberts married a cameraman, I think. So
that's so funny.
Just saying. So, just saying.
Just saying. Put the work in if you want it. But the reality is that you can't control someone else's will or their fate. So there has to be some level of, like, divine attraction. And I truly believe that, you know, the reason that I felt attracted to those people is because on some energetic level, there was a mutual attraction, even if I didn't believe it or see it or feel it myself. That's why when I daydreamed, you know, it brought us together. often never works, you know. So but the point being is that
there was a lesson. There was a lesson. Yes,
absolutely.
Well, Noor, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I know that you're taking care of a newborn, and I'm sure that you have your hands full right now.
Yeah, I've got 4 kids actually. I've got 2 of them here today. So I've got. But thank you so much for having me and allowing me to share, my books and my little wisdom with your lovely listeners.
Of course. And I just want to quickly mention Noor Hibbert's new book, You Only Live Once, Find Your Purpose, Reclaim Your Power, and Make Life Count is now available in all major bookstores, and it's also available on Noor's website, thisisyourdream.com. All right, Noor, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
And you, take care.
Take care. Bye.